How do we plan for the workforce strategically?
Okay.
Because that's what you say should be our lead indicators. in
Yes,
this.
yes, exactly. Yeah, beautifully true. So that's really one of your key lead indicators. Okay, so let's start from what is SWP as it's called for the workers, right? So we have to ensure that there's a clear line of sight, that the company is clear what are its must-win battles for that in the short.
Hi everyone. Welcome to Skillfully Spoken Podcast. It's where we keep on discussing about talent management and how it affects your business. We look at how we could scale up your businesses. We look at people and culture transformation. Every single thing about improving your business with people that you work with. On the show today with me, well, my name is Udoka. As usual, on the show with me is Mr. Jethro Irobi, very, very experienced in this business. He's been doing it for how many years now? For a long while. And hi, Jethro. You're welcome to the show. Today, what we'll be looking at is aligning talent management with business strategy. I know there's a lot of buzzwords about strategy. We're trying today not to be technical, but just free flowing, seeing how this actually work out and what we think should be a better way for organizations to grow their talent, in this light. So you're welcome once again. So how do we ensure that talent management practices support and drive business goals? That's the topic. How do we ensure this?
So the first thing first is for the organization to even be clear what its must-win battles are. It will shock you, Udoka. There are many companies are just in the grind. They are focused on the lag indicators of business and not looking at the lead indicators. So lag indicators are revenue, profit, all of those things that have to around money, right?
Yeah.
They companies focus on that as the key. Of course, those are key metrics. Or they determine if a company will survive or not. But those are the lag indicators. But how about the things that you need to do to ensure that you don't miss out on those lag indicators, which are very important? Okay. That's where talent management comes in. All right. So we have to ensure that there's a clear line of sight, that the company is clear what are its must-win battles for that in the short term being 1 year. All right, longer term, mid term 2 to 3 years, and longer term 3 to 5 years. It must be clear. Once it is clear what those must-win battles are, that is when we now begin to backtrack. That what are the talent management strategies or practices that we need to put in place to ensure that we hit, that we actually hit the must-win battles.
Wow, this is. I don't know how this works in organizations, but I've seen some organizations that do it and do it well. But like as you said, a lot of other organizations are just focused on let's make the money. We need a marketer. Let's get a marketer in. You're just pushing that revenue, not necessarily looking at how you can harness talents, plan with talents to get that revenue.
True.
That's serious. Okay. With this, how? In what way do we get strategic workforce planning? Okay, because now we have talked about the lag indicators. So how do we plan for the workforce strategically?
Okay.
Because that's what you say should be our lead indicators.
Yes,
in this.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, beautifully true. So that's really one of your key lead indicators. Okay, so let's start from what is SWP as it's called, strategic workforce planning. It's the whole process around identifying, analyzing, and addressing the current and future talent needs of the business. It's as simple as it is, right? So do I have the right number of people to drive my business today? Do I have the right number of people to drive my business tomorrow? Because you can't only just work for today. All right, business is a continuum, as they say, right? Business is, business exists for, the plan is for it to be a going concern. So what are the people needs today? And how are those people needs? Are they sufficient? The people that we need, are they sufficient to meet up with with the business objectives both today and tomorrow? All right. So and that's where SWP comes in, So it's the whole process around identifying what exactly are those needs. All right. So beyond the head count, beyond the money level, you are looking at the knowledge, skills, attributes required for incumbent role holders, all right, sitting on roles to perform so that the business can ultimately achieve its objectives. So it's that whole process. So SWP is so important, all right, in the whole talent management pillar, such that it helps you to plan for now, all right. So it fits into it actually controls how you recruit, all right, your talent acquisition. It talks about your talent development, because you then
Yeah.
begin to assess skill gaps, right? In SWP, you
Okay.
assess skill gap. What are the knowledge, skills, and attributes required for people for incumbents to perform on a job? Now, the people I have on ground, do they have those KSA? I call them KSAs. Do they have those
Yeah.
competencies to perform on the job? If they don't have the competency, then you are now clear. Okay, these are the gaps. Now, what development interventions do I need to bring on board to ensure that I can upscale my people to get to that level? Or if my people cannot get to that level, if they've reached the end of their
Yeah. Yeah.
capability, do I need to bring in fresh blood from outside to come and
Yeah.
help to close that gap? So that's really the current. All right. Now, for the future, we now begin to ask ourselves, fine, we have sorted out the current. Oh, we can meet our objective for the next 1 year or 2 year. How about
Yeah.
for the next 3, 4 years? Do you have the right money? And this is where strategy becomes important, where a business will sit down and ask itself, where do we need to go? All right. Where do we need to be in the next 2, 3 years? So we're
Yeah.
not thinking not just short term, now we're beginning to think long term. And what kind of people would we need for where we're headed? So, for example, let's take an IT department. Let's say you have an IT department today that is focused on networking, firewalling, security, all right? But you know that the
Yeah.
world technology, AI is, I mean, is the
Yeah.
so then begin to
Everybody
ask
must embrace it. Yeah.
the people that I have today, all right, do they have the skill to change my business, to impact my business in the next 2, 3 years? Now you now begin to proactively, please, I should have said this at the beginning. SWP is different from just manpower planning because it is strategic in nature. It is
So,
proactive.
so, so what's the difference in? So there are questions I want to ask you. I've been taking. So there's
Yeah,
SWP, strategic workforce planning. So you say it's different from
yes,
manpower planning. So you're going to tell us
yes,
the difference between strategic workforce planning and manpower planning. There's something else you talked about, KSA. What does KSA
yes.
mean? I know
Okay.
we use a lot of abbreviations, right?
Okay, sorry
Then
about that. Okay.
okay, then okay. Maybe after you answer, then I'll ask you some other questions also. Then
Okay,
we yeah.
please. Okay, all right, all right. So manpower planning and SWP, they are really about the same. You can use them interchangeably. However, the difference, all right, is that the SWP, it is more proactive in nature. It's not
Okay.
just focused. You see, it tries to anticipate what the business needs are. This is where HR becomes not just a department to just hire and fire. No, you sit on the
Yeah.
table. You are involved in strategy. All right. So you're asking yourself for where we are today and where we are headed, actively coming up with, actively identifying and assessing, analyzing the money needs of the business, and putting things in place to ensure that you close it. That's SWP. So planning
So
for
so
now
what so,
and
so
planning
what
for
so
the
what is now
future.
manpower planning differently?
Okay, all right. Okay, so manpower planning is okay. Now the SWP, the difference between SWP and manpower planning, to be like I said, they are the same thing. All right,
Yeah.
but the SWP is just the S part, which is the strategic. The difference is
Yeah.
just that you are proactively. All right,
Okay.
that's the core difference. You are proactively planning. All right, proactively identifying, analyzing
Okay.
the manpower needs of the business both today and tomorrow. Manpower planning could be focus on just your today. Do you understand? But the
Yeah.
key thing there is that proactivity, that you are proactively people, not waiting for things to happen, but you're anticipating. Where are we headed? Where is business headed? Okay, maybe want to expand into
Yeah.
maybe Central Africa or West Africa. All right, you now begin to put plans in place. Okay, my guys need to know how to speak French. All
Yeah.
right, they
Okay.
need to learn some kind of French. Okay, maybe I need to now begin to start to enroll my people for French lessons, so that in the next 2 years, when we get to Cameroon or when we get to Cote d'Ivoire, my guys know how to speak at least A2 level French, which is the business level
Mm.
French. That's the
So so so
proactively plan. Yes.
so this is planning is done in line with hand in hand with the business also.
Oh yes, yes, of course, of
Yeah.
course, of
Okay.
course. So HR cannot sit down in one corner and do it. No, HR sits down with. Don't forget that HR, we are not the people running operations, right? But we are supporting. So the
Yeah.
HR needs to sit down with the function heads, sit down with the business. All right, HR needs to sit down, like they say, have a seat on the table. Not many companies,
Yep. Yep.
I mean, not many companies have come to a point where they value HR that much. All right. So,
Yeah.
but where HR sits on the table, HR is aware ab initio what is going on in terms of strategy and begin to proffer solutions.
Okay. Okay. Then so what is KSA?
Okay, all right. So KSA as knowledge, skills, and attributes. So just simply, in simple term, competency. So competency is simply what are the knowledge, skills, and attributes
Some
required for
attributes.
people to perform on their job. Yeah.
Then you've answered another question because I wanted to ask who leads the strategy planning? Who
Okay, who
leads the
leads
strategy?
it? Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's a combination of HR and some other
yeah, the business
business.
leaders.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. Which are the business
Then
leaders?
okay. Then so which comes first, revenue planning or SW?
Okay. So revenue planning comes first
Okay.
because you need to know what,
Yeah.
yeah, you need to know what you want to achieve, right? So let's say you
Okay.
want to grow into, maybe you want to 2x your revenue. You now begin
Okay.
to ask yourself, what are the things that we need to do to ensure that we actually hit our 2x revenue? What are the people needs?
Mm,
Okay, are we
mm,
going to open more production lines, for example? If you're going to open
yeah.
more production lines, then you know that okay, then I need to have more people on the lines. Then I need to hire more people. Okay, so
Yeah.
the first thing first is the business goals. Then we'll now begin to work back into what are the people or the talent management strategies to put in
That
place
we
to
need. Yeah.
support.
Okay. Okay. Great. And I'm sure. So, like as you said, since you have your short term, medium term, and long term. So with the short term, these are the kind of people that we need. With our medium term, we can start pushing some trainings or expanding.
Yes,
And these are
exactly.
long term. And
Yeah.
sometimes what we've seen is, some organizations say, you know what, we want to cap our workforce at this point. Then what we can do is to bring in some other people on contract or fixed term contract, and they come in and they go. But we have a key workforce with us. So in some organizations, we find um, where the organization says, you know, this is where we want to cap our workforce on. Maybe like we want to have only just 100 staff. Any other
Yeah.
thing that we need to meet up, we just bring in contract staff or fixed term staff. They do their jobs and they just go. So that's part of the strategic workforce planning,
Yes,
right?
that's the still part of it. Yes. So I mean, to be honest, it's still part of. I mean, I believe if that's what if organization feels that from the very beginning that they want to have a mix, it's still part of the workforce planning. Remember that workforce planning is just simply planning the resource your people resource need both now and in the future, but proactively doing,
Yeah.
not doing it when as if you are reacting. No, but
Things
you
are
are
bad
doing it
now,
right.
yeah. So
Exactly. Yes.
okay, okay, thanks. So we'll look at another part. So how do we attract and retain top talents?
Oh.
Remember, we've talked about, yes, with clearly the lead, what we want to achieve. This is the revenue, right? We've also talked about strategic workforce planning. But how do we now retain them? Because it's one thing to bring them in, another thing to retain them. And while I'm asking this question, take note
Yes.
that there are 4 generations usually now in any organization. On average, there's 4 generations. There's the
Yes.
Gen Z, there's the millennial, there's the baby boomers. I think there's an older set also. So how do we retain top talent that we want to grow in our organization?
Okay, you have asked me $1 million question. All right, that's why I laughed. All right, so there was a survey. There was a survey last year by LinkedIn. I think it was LinkedIn that did the survey last year, January 2024, and they surveyed so many
Okay.
workers. I mean, thousands of workers, and I think
Yeah.
about 50% of the survey respondents said that they were going to leave their jobs within the next 12 months. Can you imagine that? All right.
Yeah.
About 50% are already saying that they're planning to leave their jobs. All right. So to be honest, talent retention has become, this is what we talk about, the reward for talent, right? This is really the war. All right. So I'll share some things
Yeah.
that I think that has helped, and I think we continue to help each other people. I mean, there are many things to look at, to be honest. There are just so many gamut of things to do. But number one, I would like to say is that the employer, the EVP, which we all call employer value proposition, must be very clear.
Okay.
Must get it right there. All right. The EVP of organizations must be crystal clear. What are you giving in
Okay.
exchange for the time, for the talent of your employees, for the skill of your employees? What are you giving in exchange? That's very, very important. That's very key. We will be very, very clear what that is. Now, once we are clear
Okay.
what that is, and the companies have to now begin to communicate that EVP. All right. Now, this EVP sometimes is not only to people, external people, but also the people who are within. You are clear.
Yeah.
You are constantly communicating what your value proposition is. Why should they stay with you? Do you understand?
Okay.
So once you get that clear, then now begin to look at your total rewards. When you hear about total rewards framework, all right,
Yeah.
total rewards. What are all the rewards that an employee will get for remaining with you?
You.
So it's not only about remuneration now; it's about career growth. Right. So I'll tell you what we did in my organization. So one of the things that people, that people talked about was that they weren't very sure or clear as to what their career progressions were like in the organization. Yeah, promotions
Okay.
happen. People move from level one to level like that,
One role, yeah.
promotions and growth and role expansion. But there wasn't a clear written down structure that
Okay.
shows, okay, this is what you need to move from level one to level two or point A to point B. People want to
Well,
know.
whether it's vertical or horizontal, they
Exactly.
need
People
that
want to
clarity.
know. People want to know. And they call that show me the ladder. All right. That's, show me the
Okay.
ladder. People want to know that, okay, show me the ladder. Employer, how do I get from here to this point? So what we did was to now go into a competency. We came up with we had to launch a competency framework project where we identified what are the knowledge, skills, and attributes required for people to perform on their jobs across all roles,
Okay.
across the entire function.
Okay.
You have organizational
Wow.
competencies and you have functional
Yeah.
competencies. It was painstaking, but believe you me, when we were done with that project, it was incredible. The level of engagement, the level of excitement, the sigh of relief, the clarity that people had, the feedback that we got from people. It told us
Yeah.
that the hard work paid off. So we had to go into the KSA, knowledge, skill, attribute for each role, and began to, first and foremost, was to identify what those are, and now begin to
Yeah.
evaluate each and every person based on those. All
Okay.
right. And the next thing now, of course, natural outcome. What are the gaps? How do you want to close the gaps? But it was clear.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
mean, some promotions happened by virtue after the exercise. Some people, it was clear that these guys
That was
were ready
clear.
to move to the
Yeah.
next level, and we had to do it. We didn't have to wait to the end of the year. Honestly, we didn't have to wait to the
Yeah.
end of the year. We had to make those moves immediately because with talents, you don't waste time. You don't waste time with your talents. Once you find out what you need to do it. As they say, remember the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you want to shoot, shoot. Don't talk.
Shoot. Don't threaten me with
You
yeah.
don't talk. All right. So you find out what you want to do with your talent. Move. Pull the trigger. So we pulled the trigger. Activated it. And guess what? We didn't plan all of this at the beginning of the year. So we didn't budget for this. We didn't budget for that. No,
Yeah.
we just move. We press the button and we move. And you need to have seen the level of engagement. Okay. So that is what we had to do. All right. So show me the ladder, career growth. We show people what it is. So people feel that, okay, I can grow here. I can actually grow here.
Yeah.
Also pay remuneration as much as we can, as much as organizations can. Organizations will try to ensure that they are able to, pay people competitive salaries. I mean, it sounds like cliche, but it's just the simple truth, right? Because people have a way of comparing salaries across industries, across companies,
Yeah.
and making it easy for people to see your talents. I believe that you can't pay. There's nothing like salary equity. No, be fair in your pay. All right, because I believe strongly in segmenting your pay structure based on talent status. So somebody who is a star A player, I'm not going to want to pay you more, pay you less, or pay you the same thing as somebody who is a B player. I will not do that. It's a disservice to the A player. I will segment your pay. I will give you something higher. So maybe in your percentile, I can probably put those people at maybe the 75th to the 100th percentile of the pay range because they deserve to be there. Then those who are your B
Yeah.
players, I can put them among around the midpoint or midpoint or average pay. Then those who are your laggards, of course, try and invest in
Yeah,
your people first.
because you made every effort to train them. If you made
Yes,
every
after
effort
you
to
have made all
encourage
the
them.
effort to train them, exactly.
Yeah.
Not just quick to pull the trigger, on them. After you made all the efforts, begin to weed them out. So people that you have, you pay them well, they stay well. So competitive salaries and career growth, an enabling environment. People need to feel that they have an environment where they can thrive, an environment that supports them. A positive environment. Culture. This is where culture comes in. Do you have a positive culture? Are your employees engaged? If you do an engagement audit, what is the net promoter score of your organization? If it's negative, then you have to do something fast. If your net promoter score is negative, that means there's problem. That means you have more detractors than promoters, meaning that people are just marking time with you. So you have to invest around employee engagement, all of the things around giving people meaningful work, giving people inspirational leadership, the kind of line managers you have. Develop the line managers because people cannot grow above their leads. Develop your line manager. Let your line manager become effective. They're effective. They can actually develop and raise people. Guess what? We all say that people don't leave organizations, they leave managers. It's true. Some people will tell you that I love the business, but my line manager, I can't deal anymore.
Yeah.
Right? But some people don't really to it in the simplest form. You cannot begin to teach. That's why companies launch learn leadership development programs. I'm sure you know that. Some companies launch their own development programs.
So you are the call.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So those are indicators of how emotionally connected people feel. And people stay where they feel they have a sense of connection. All right. If you have low promoter score, it means that people are not, your employees don't feel emotionally connected to the organization, which is a big problem. All right. So it's important that
Okay.
that the company begins to do stuff. All right, that can actually build that connection. People want to, for example, people want to stay where they think that they are learning. Have you noticed that? I ask them, why do you want to leave your organization? Well, I want to learn. I always say learn. I mean, it's not now. It now sound like cliche. I want to.
Funny enough, before you said this, I had written this a learning organization. I'd written it down
Exactly.
on my notepad. Yeah, people want to be in a learning organization.
Exactly.
True.
They want to feel that they are learning, like they are actively learning. And learning doesn't necessarily have to be in a classroom. Of course, the 70-20-10
Correct.
model.
Yeah.
All right. But for them, they want to feel that they are actually learning, that they are growing, that they're becoming better versions of themselves. So I mean, if organization can put all of these things together, they have a higher chance of retaining their talent. So pay, career development, training, learning organization, work environment, engagement, all of those things, it can actually really help to see that way. And also, just to add, because I'm quite passionate about this topic. All right, I talked about meaningful work. All right, I'm also going to add purposeful work. All right, how about people doing? How about creating an environment where people can work along their personal purpose in life?
Yeah.
So let me give an example. I know that people like to be part of noble causes, right? People want to feel that they are doing things that is beyond themselves, beyond the money I get
Right.
for me and my family and everything. They want to be part of noble causes. So in my organization, for example, when we do CSR, we involve employees, all right, in our
Okay.
CSR activity. We involve them. So our employees go out to go and carry us. So they go out rather than engage third party. Yeah, we still engage third party people to help us. But rather than just our employees go, I need to see the excitement when our employees are engaging with people who are in underserved communities. There's something it just does to them. So those people who see themselves as people who love to help, for them, you are giving them purposeful work, not just meaningful
Purpose.
work
Yeah.
now.
True.
You're giving them
True.
purposeful work. Also, how about encouraging people to do stuff that are aligned with their life purpose? So, for example, there are people who love to capture memories. You call them photographers. You call them videographers. Rather than say, oh, if you're working in this company, you cannot do any form of job again. 100% focus on those archaic
Yeah. Correct.
things that we
Yeah.
had before. You can't do any of that thing. No, somebody out there likes to capture memories. So, how about giving him time? So he needs time to do that. We all know that this is what he does on Saturday. When you have a company event, rather than go and get a photographer outside, give it to that guy, that's your staff. In my organization,
Yeah.
there's
True.
somebody who is a pit master. All right, so we found out that he's a pit master. So when we have our own company event, guess who our pit master is? We engage him and we pay him market rates. Tell
Yeah.
me that kind of
Of
person,
course.
it'll be hard for him to leave us.
No, at all, because he sees that he comes into the planning also. When you're
Exactly,
planning such
exactly,
program,
exactly,
you need such planning. Yeah.
exactly. So that's giving people opportunity to do purposeful work. So I mean, just so many things we can do.
Wow. Yes. At the end of the day, because I'm still looking at it, because at the end of the day, all this ties back to driving that same revenue you're still trying to drive.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
while they're adding value, while they enjoy this work they are doing, there is a goal. There is a goal which
Yeah.
everybody is tied
Yes. True.
to. There was this series that I watched, and the head of the organization just stay walking around each unit. He meets people and says, if you're doing a job that you think is outdated, that is not adding value, that you think you're not adding value, please come meet me and we'll review your job and we'll look at it. It was a hospital. And he went and they're now using new kind of x-rays. They still have someone that was still using the very old cake x-rays in the business. Are you adding? He said, well, I've been here. They still pay me my salary. And so a lot of people say coming to meet him and say, you know what, this job we are doing, or this particular role, we think is redundant and we would like something much more purposeful. And he didn't have anything in mind, but he said, you know what, let's see as we're moving on, because we don't want to just let people go, but we want to wait to see how we can plug in some other gaps that we have within the organization.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, I think that's very profound. Yeah, just a quick comment on that. I think that's very profound. Where you see that person had to, kickstart the conversation. Sometimes people just get, they're used to what they've been doing. You've not shown them another, that there's some that they can actually do something more meaningful with themselves, or on their jobs. So giving them the opportunity, or having those conversations, we could actually unlock a lot of value for the business. A lot of value.
Yeah, because how do you get people that are, for example, people that do operational work, right? Sometimes they've gotten used to doing it that they can do it without thinking. At the point in time, some of them start losing interest.
Oh yes,
There's
of
nothing I'm
course.
learning again. There's
Yes,
nothing
true,
new. So how do you
true.
get such people to enjoy? Because they need to still see how that their task adds value. And if they begin to enjoy their job, it will help create much more efficiency within the system to
Yeah,
learn more. And if they can start learning more, if they start finding the job much more
yeah,
interesting,
true, true.
you'll find out that they'll be able to make that job much more purposeful. They'll be able to add much more value to that operational work.
Yeah,
So how
true.
do we get to that point?
Interesting. Okay, I think the example you gave, I think, is very important. All right, where line managers on their own. You see, managing people is it's just it. Okay, I mean, it's just the in thing. All right, they say there's an article, one of the best article I've ever read by Google. Do managers matter? All right, maybe if you can find it, you will really like it. Do managers matter?
Okay.
The work of a manager cannot be. I mean, it is just so important. It's beyond asking people. Oh, it's beyond getting to the grind. It's about constantly observing. A good leader must know how to observe. You must know when your people are
Okay.
burning out. You must know. You must know when your people are burning out. You must know when people you must know when they are getting excited. You must know why they are burning out,
Yeah.
why they are getting excited. You must observe. I begin to ask those questions. You must also realize that there are people out there who are gunning for your good people, and that if
True.
you don't give them meaningful work, they're gonna leave you. So you have to keep asking them. Oh, you have to keep asking them. That's very, very key. You got to keep engaged. I love the example you gave. The man went around asking people, if you think you're not doing anything that is meaningful, come and see me. That's how you can keep those guys engaged. You'll be shocked that there's somebody there who has learned, let's say, data analysis, and you have a
Yeah.
gap somewhere
True.
in IT. But he's able to move, but because you haven't engaged him, he hasn't told you, you are seen him from the lens of those operations. But no, they have a lot to
True.
offer. They have a lot to offer. So managers have to
Mm.
constantly ask those questions. Constantly. So if I interestingly, just today, I sent a message to my colleague. If there's one big project we're doing, and I asked him, I've been trying because I know that he's told me ab initio that he wants to do something other than what he's currently doing. Having
Okay.
said that, I'm aware he's a talent. So I'm constantly pulling him into different projects other than his area of specialty.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
today I dropped him a
Correct.
message. Now we're going to start this project. Are you sure you'll be able to do it? Or you have said that you want to do something else. So
Yeah.
for me, it will make, of course, that project is really, really big and it impact the entire organization. All right. If it does it, that is a lot of meaningful work right there. But I can sit down and say,
Well,
okay,
yeah.
this is your job. You are doing so well in it. Keep doing it. No, he's going to leave you very soon. Or he's going to remain and become very disengaged, and you won't get you won't get more than you are getting from him. So, manager, we have to observe, we have to keep engaging our people. It's very important. Those one-on-one sessions,
Yeah.
those weekly meetings. We downplay weekly meetings. Oh my goodness, weekly team meetings. Those are very important. When you gather your team together like a pit stop and you're having conversations, you are watching, you are gauging them. Somebody says something in a certain way. After the meeting, you call the person, Michael, why did you say that? Is there any challenge?
Yeah.
You say, well, I've been going through this, I've been feeling dissatisfied. If you don't observe, if you don't catch up with your people, you won't be able to find out those things. Also, if you're not
Yeah.
aware of what's happening out in the market, if you're not aware how mobile and fluid labor is, you think you have a people
Yeah.
forever. It's a lie, you don't.
Funny enough, I once had a boss that was shocked why people were resigning. Like, why are they leaving? Why are they leaving? And every one of us below knew why people were leaving. It was so clear. Like, can't you just see it? And at the point in time, and while he was saying that, it's like as if it was like a pack of cards. A lot of every other person were planning on how to move. All just because this person had an idea of what everybody here should be doing. Whereas, like you said, this discussion should be had back and forth.
Yes.
Another thing that managers fear is that when they identify where your interest is, they will lose you in their team to another team.
Yeah.
So it's always, if I lose you, I'm going to have to go back to HR to look for a resource. That's my problem. So I guess it's
And that's the
it's,
that's
it's,
the,
it's
that's the small thinking mindset.
yeah,
Let me tell you that I rather lose my own staff in my unit within the organization than outside the organization entirely.
correct.
All right. So why would I think that if he leaves me, all right, I prefer that I lose him to, maybe I lose him to finance or lose him to communications, than
Yeah.
lose him entirely to another organization.
Mm,
All right. So there's no need holding on to people. Okay. If somebody has expressed his interest that they want to do this or they want to do that, encourage them. For me, encourage them. All right. Make it easy for them to grow and develop, guess what? They'll become your great ambassadors. So the talent that
Sure.
you find out that if you one person is engaged, because an ambassador, there's a high chance that three other people can join because of that
We'll
one
be looking
person.
forward to come.
Exactly.
Yeah, true, 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 true. And I know we've gone. There's a lot of this is like a passionate discussion for you. I can see
Yes.
it. Okay, how do we shift? Okay, we've already looked at how to shift expectations, but how do we brand our talents? Thinking of how do we do a lot of talent branding just so that they can drive the value
So how do we
proposition of
what?
the
I didn't get the question.
organization.
How do we?
How do we brand our talents,
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
Okay, okay.
So that they tell our story
Oh,
the
yes,
way we
yes,
want the
yes,
story
yes,
to
yeah.
be told.
All right.
Yeah.
So that the employer branding is the first point of, for me, this is my own point of view,
Yeah.
is the starting point of talent acquisition. For
Mhm.
me, talent
Okay.
acquisition does not start when I begin to start my hiring process, selection, hiring. No, 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 no. It starts from all the things I do to attract people. The signal I put out there that people outside see
Yeah.
that they want to get interested in working for my organization. All right. So that
Okay.
is the employer branding. And employer branding is critical. Yes, so employer branding are all the activities you do, all right, all the signals you send out to the market being your people and the market being
Okay.
labor market, that you send out that you are a
Yeah.
great place to work. What are all the things you need to do?
Okay.
Okay, so how do you position the organization? How do you signal your EVP? We talked about EVP earlier. How do you send out signal about your EVP? What are you doing differently? All right, so there's one company in Nigeria, all right, 2 years ago they came up with a crazy EVP that shook the labor market in
Mm,
Nigeria. You know
mm.
what they did? They came up with a set of remuneration practices that were out of this world. One of them was spousal
Mm.
allowance. Maybe you heard about it.
Ah,
Spousal allowance.
yes, yes,
So
yes.
for everybody working in that company, they pay your spouse a certain
Your
allowance
spouse.
that goes to your spouse. So tell me,
Oh
Udoka,
boy.
if I tell my wife I want to leave this company, what would they say? What would my wife say? Are you crazy? Come on, stay back there. You're not going anywhere.
How? Are you
If I
crazy?
invest in
Even
that same time, we're trying to hire
so
somebody.
even if you're
We
not
have
happy,
gone through the
even if you're not
process.
happy, stay there.
Exactly. Stay there. Me, I'm happy. I'm creating money. You stay there. Do you understand? I was sharing that interestingly,
Yeah.
that same time, I was trying to hire somebody from that company. She didn't join. Of course not. I wasn't surprised. She didn't join. After going through all the process, interview, everything, she declined later on.
Yeah.
I knew it would be difficult. Do you understand? So the
Yeah.
EVP you are sending, what are you doing differently from the market? You have to declare. And that company, they sent out that message on their LinkedIn that they will
Yeah.
start to do
I
this
heard it.
and
I heard
this
it
and
clearly.
this. Sorry?
I heard it also clearly.
Exactly. So that's EVP. All right. So your EVP has to be clear, and you have to communicate it. That's one. Number two, your ambassadors. You need to have
Yeah.
ambassadors. Your employees are your greatest ambassadors. What they say about you matters a lot. To be honest with you, when you make an offer to somebody, you know what they will do? They have friends and relatives in your
Yeah.
company. They will call their friends to find out, oh, how is this place?
Yeah.
How is your company? Should I come? If the people they speak to is not happy, say, I don't come. Oh, I'm looking for how I won't disappear. You are coming. Don't bother coming. They have
Yeah.
destroyed all the work that you have worked for how many months? Or people go to Indeed,
True.
people
True.
go to Glassdoor and go and check, oh, company A,
Yeah.
culture in company A, and they find out all of these things are there. So your employees, both the past and the present, they have to be ambassador. We need to do a lot to invest in that, and it's all about the experience. All the sum total of their experience is what determines if they'll be our ambassadors or not. So these are the for me these are the two critical areas. Of course, beyond the pay, talent management.
Okay. Quick
You know,
question. How can we apply this in small businesses? Two, three
okay,
staff, have less than 10 staff, they're trying to grow as a business. How do we
okay.
apply all this to such small businesses?
Okay, all right. Thank you. Very good question because not every organization is big right now. So people are on that journey. Okay, what I would say
Yeah.
that the first thing first is small organization need to set up get the fundamentals right. Put up a simple HR structure in place, or you can call it
Okay.
talent management structure in place. Because now we'll talk about some principles or some existing structure, for example, governance, right? Policies
Okay.
and procedures, right? So those are the
Okay.
basics. So small organizations, my advice to them will be first of all, set up your governance structure,
Okay.
set up your policies and procedures, SOPs, ways of working, around talent, around everything. All right. Put all of those things, as simple as those things are. That is what your talent management strategy will run on. Your strategy will run on your policies,
Mm.
right? Your
Yeah.
strategy will run on your policies. So put those things in place. That's the first thing first. Okay. Then
Okay.
we can now begin to say, okay, what is the best in class talent management strategy? So let's look at employer branding first and foremost. Okay, as a small business, all right, what can you do around employer branding? Can you begin to maybe from your posts? Now, I also encourage, that, 'cause that's one way to send the word out, social media posts, engagement, thought
Yeah.
leadership, so small companies can begin to, lead, thought leadership on specific issues, or things
Okay.
around their businesses. So maybe somebody is in, maybe a company may be in the pharmaceuticals, all right. Thought leadership could be speaking engagement, could be press releases. As small as you are, this thing don't cost an arm and a leg. As small as you
Okay.
are, you can begin to get in that space. People begin to look at, oh, okay, there's somebody talking here, there's somebody talking here. And that also begins to help that business to grow because you're getting visibility, you are becoming a thought leader in the
Okay.
industry. People want to do stuff with you, all right? And that's also helping your employer branding as well. So the
Okay.
more visible you are, the more people see you. I want to work with you. The more people see you
Okay.
are like, oh wow, oh they do this in this company. Oh, I didn't know about this. Oh wow, so some companies still do this. You may be small, that it could be say small amount, you may be small, but because you're organized, all right,
Yeah.
you are being visible in the right way, all right, and also how you
Mm.
are also treating your people, the two, three, four, five, six people that you have. How are you treating them? Are they
Mm.
actually, are they really your ambassadors? In fact, that you have a few people, that's even an advantage. You can treat them so well, okay, that they become your ambassadors out there. It's easier to
Okay.
attract talent because they are your ambassadors, because you are also visible and putting out the right signal, communicating your EV. It's easier to attract
Mm.
the right talent. All right. You have a learning framework in place. Okay. Where because you are small, there are a lot of things you can do around learning. You can all go for seminars together. We can read books together and do book review. Even my organization, we still do book review. As big as we are, we still do book review. Okay, we're reading this book, read this book, and come and share. You can begin to do all those things. All right, that's how people. That's how we transform ourselves. Companies can transform themselves into learning organizations. All right, what are the training needs? Find out what those are, identify them, and begin to implement them. Begin to get those things done. All right, once you can, all those pillars, attraction, retention, put all those things in place for a smaller company and make noise about it. Make noise in a responsible manner, of course. All right,
Mm.
you are sending
Mm.
signals
Yeah.
out there. That you are an employer of choice. You may not be there now, but you are going somewhere. And you can attract good people to help you grow, to help you scale.
Thank you for this, Jethro. You are a wealth of information. There's so much information in you, and I see the passion with which you've had this discussion. It's been a really interesting time having the discussion. And I've learned a lot of things here.
Thank
As
you.
when we talk about the leading, the lagging, the SWP, the KSAs, there are some things we discuss about generally that we really don't know how it works, except if you're really focused in this. Thank you for this. And knowing that HR is now becoming people and culture. It's not
Yeah,
more just HR alone. So
and
thanks,
culture.
thanks
Yeah.
for your time. Thanks for your time. I really appreciate this. You've taken out time to be with
Thank
us,
you so
coming
much
on
for
the
having me,
show.
Odoka. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
And for those who want to find out much more about Jethro, you can find him on LinkedIn. He's available on LinkedIn. And for if you want to find much more about what we've done, you can follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, X, and Spotify. Also give us feedback on what we've discussed, insights from what we've discussed, and let's see how we make progress from here. We hope we are leaving you with new ideas and strategies to elevate your business through talent management. There's been so much, a wealth of information that Jethro has given us today. Thanks for being here with us. Stay connected, stay ahead, and join us for our next episode. Until then, keep reaching for success.